It's all about you with WYOU Interactive.
Welcome back. We're continuing our discussion on political parodies. You can join us by sending us an email or giving us a phone call like Jay from Wilkes-Barre. Jay, welcome to the show.
Yes, with Obama running as a presidential candidate and being in the public eye all the time, shouldn't he be open to the criticism that's going to come his way? I mean, just taking a look at the criticism George Bush has faced.
Well, let me ask you this, Jay. Do you think, I think everyone thinks he should be put up for criticism. Is it a question of that New Yorker cover crossing a fine line? I mean, they do have that bad tendency rule where if something's going to put somebody in harm or harm the nation, maybe it shouldn't be done.
Well, in his book, The Audacity of Hope, he says that if the political wind shifts, he would stand by his Muslim people. Granted, he's not a radical Muslim, as the far right is making him out to be, but he admits to, staying on that path. So why wouldn't it be open for political critique?
But isn't there a difference between that and having a picture of Osama bin Laden in the White House while the American flag burns? I mean, that's right. This is a fairly extreme photo with your wife toting an automatic weapon.
I don't understand why it's so offensive when it's it's meant to. Create controversy. I mean, that's why these pictures are drawn. They've been drawn since, politics has been around, and they are far more offensive back in, the beginning of our country. I mean, George Washington went through, he was ridiculed for his personal life, and, this is something that Obama's, openly discussed about his, in his book anyway, as far as his religious preference is concerned.
All right, Jay says this is fair game, that this isn't crossing a line, and there are many people with a similar opinion.
Well, I don't think this is an issue of criticism as it is one of what we're talking about. The topic of this whole segment, satire. And, I don't know. I don't really agree with that. I don't think that Senator Obama, I don't think it's fair to criticize or poke fun at Senator Obama the way the New Yorker did it. Like you mentioned, with the picture of Osama bin Laden in the background of the White House, with that trademark fist pump, almost kind of make fun of that. But not even so much the fist pump. I think the turban, really, because it almost misleads people. And again, like you mentioned earlier, if you're not familiar with the New Yorker and you don't know that the title of that article is The Politics of Fear, then you have to take Senator Obama's stance on it, because he's been fighting, it seems like, this entire campaign against the far right to dismiss this whole notion that he's still a Muslim in hiding.
We're talking about this political cartoon, and some are going to even say that political cartoons are archaic. The new force is online, and that's kind of, I guess, if there was an attempt at humor there from the New Yorker cover, it's because there's all these rumors going on all online that he's not patriotic, that he and his, that about his Muslim roots, and that he wouldn't be true to the United States, and that's where whether or not it's satire comes into question. Let's talk about the new wave, Jib Jab, and these other online things. Now, you see, now you're laughing. Most people recognize those as funny no matter what side of the aisle you're on.
Right. Well, again, I think the Jib Jab piece, and of course, Jib Jab's been 2004. They had a pretty famous piece, and there was a DC sequel to it as well. And now they've come back in 2008, and they really don't leave anyone out of the equation on this one. I mean, it's not like the New Yorker where it was just depicting Senator Obama and his wife. You have Senator McCain, you have Bill and Hillary in this one. It's very well written, and they don't tackle that taboo topic that is continuing to evolve in our country, and that, of course, is race. So,
all right, Dan from Scranton, welcome to the show, Dan.
Hi, how are you?
Good. What are your thoughts on this?
Well, I think Ralphie is absolutely correct when he says it's uncharted territory this year. The thing that I'd like to say, though, is you got to keep in mind that the people at the New Yorker certainly had this, constant publicity in mind when they made that cover. It's not only the satire of the cover of the magazine as so much it is that they're also trying to sell magazines. And to think that people would actually take that as fact into their decision when they're at the polling booth, I just personally don't think the average voter would consider that as valuable to their decision.
Well, but Dan, if you already get these chain emails that say things, Obama doesn't put his hand over the heart during the Pledge of Allegiance, that he's Muslim, that he won't be, he's unpatriotic. If you see these chain emails and then you see this on the cover of the magazine, like the New Yorker, does the average voter, if they don't get the joke, don't they add 2 plus 2? Don't they say, well, this is something that's going to stick in my mind?
I think it's on the voters' It's the voter's responsibility to do the research, though. I mean, to just take a cartoon picture and a chain email and, use that to base your opinion or your vote, I mean, quite frankly, isn't the way that democracy should work. You should use sound sources. And, I mean, let's face it, The New Yorker isn't necessarily the most non-controversial magazine.
That's true, Dan. All right, we're simply out of time. He says that, but I want to bring up one last point. Gerald Ford, most people remember him falling in those parodies on SNL for a long time, and that may be something he's always remembered by. Ralphie, I thank you for joining us. We're out of time. We'll be right back in a moment.